bundle of joy has arrived, and now you are wanting to use safe, clean products on them, but don't know where to start. Today, we are speaking with Chase and Stefanie, the founders of Stork and Sun, on why they came up with their clean baby products and how to navigate the overwhelming amount of items offered to new parents. Thanks for joining us. This is Newbies.
He's gorgeous.
It's a girl.
Surprise! The whole family's here.
So when are you having the next one?
It's just poop.
Ready for another?
Wow, you look really tired.
Ready to go back to work?
Yellow poop? Seriously?
Did you sterilize this?
Sex? Now? You've got to be joking.
You should sleep when the baby sleeps.
She doesn't look anything like you.
I thought you already had your baby.
I did.
Babies don't come with instructions, so there's Newbies, helping new moms and new babies through the first year.
Welcome to Newbies. My name is Kaylee Hunt, and I'll be your host today. If you haven't already, be sure to visit our website at New Mommy Media and subscribe to our weekly newsletter, which keeps you updated on all the episodes we release each week. Another great way to stay updated is to hit that subscribe button in your podcast app. And if you're looking for a way to get even more involved with our show, then check out our online community. It's called Mighty Moms. That's where we chat more about the topics discussed here on our show. And it's also an easy way to learn about our recordings so you can join us live. Our experts today are Chase and Stefanie. Their journey began when they were expecting their first child, and like many new parents, myself included, they wanted to make the best choices for their growing family. They quickly found themselves navigating a sea of baby products, many of which came with a lengthy ingredient list and marketing that felt more confusing than comforting. So they took a step back and asked themselves, what would we want in a baby product? The answer was clear: simplicity, transparency, and products that align with the lifestyle centered on love and care. And that's how Stork and Sun was born. Thank you both so much for joining me. Now, fun fact for our listeners, they were recently on an episode for Preggy Pal, so we're really excited to have them over here on Newbies. Stefanie and Chase, thanks for joining us on this podcast app. Please tell us more about your growing family and where you guys are located.
Sure. So we are in Ohio. We currently have a 20-month-old son named Ryer, and my wife Stephanie is due the first week of February.
Whoop, whoop. How exciting. And do you guys know the sex of your second kid yet?
We do not. Surprise.
I love that. I love surprises. I wish I did that for my first. Whenever my husband are ready to try again, maybe we'll surprise our second. I'm not sure. We love that. Yay. So let's dive right into the topic right after we take a quick break. Today, we're discussing safe baby products and where you can get your hands on them. So first section of this portion, let's just talk about pregnancy and just like new parent mom brain of welcoming a new child and wanting safe, clean products inside the baby's belly, right? So like, whenever they're ready to eat food, but also when you're cleaning up messes, cleaning up their little bums. So let's talk about your first pregnancy, Stefanie. Did you know you wanted to use clean products? Was that like on the back of your mind while you were pregnant with your first?
Absolutely. And I think even more so, it came to the front of my mind as soon as I started Googling and becoming overwhelmed with all the different products that it consumes you. So once you go down one rabbit hole of, it's not just products of, what you're going to use to wipe or diapers, then you start thinking about food and formula or, whatever other products happen to, come across your screen that day. Because once you look for one baby product, they all come up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember too, like in the early days after my daughter was born, you're not even thinking of feeding them food, right? Let alone what you're going to clean up the food with, right? But then it just like comes up on your Instagram feed, your TikTok feed, and it's so overwhelming. So this is kind of a fun question, not really, but like, were you ever caught up with the doom scrolling? Because I feel like it's such a big rabbit hole of like, okay, use these clean products. Stop using, I don't want to say any brand names, but this cleaning product and use vinegar instead. You know what I mean? It's just like, it is so overwhelming at times. Did you ever fall into that trap?
Oh, 1,000%. At one point, I was going to make all my own baby food, and I had a garden, and I was going to grow my own vegetables. And, I definitely went down that rabbit hole for sure, and the doom scrolling. And then I feel like as moms, you end up with this mom guilt. It's just a natural thing that you feel when you're looking through this stuff and you're like, oh my God, like I'm using that product. I don't think I'm doing what's best for my child now. And then you like start feeling bad and having this guilt. And I feel like that is a just a natural thing that we go through. But I wish that we didn't go through that because it's not necessary. We are all doing the best we can at that moment. And we don't give ourselves enough grace in that moment. We just literally created a human for 9 months, 10 months, and then delivered this human in a, painful and long way. And then then instantly comes the mom guilt. And it's just, I feel like that's something that it just needs to not be there for new moms. Like you should not have any mom guilt for what you're doing because you have done, if you either did the research beforehand or if something happened and you couldn't, don't feel bad. You are doing the best you can with what you have and with what you know at the time. So the mom guilt doesn't need to be there for that.
I so agree. And I kind of love too, and fun fact, I listened to the Preggy Pals episode for our listeners, but on that episode, you definitely talked about, not going to one end of the, what I'm trying to say, like one end of the spectrum, right? So like you find a clean product and now you're like, okay, well, I have all these other products. Let me just get rid of them. Like, no. Let's use up what we have and then make an easy switch. So when you did, finally find some clean products, whether that was food or cleaning products or your guys' products, how did you make that switch to make it maybe easier on your mom brain, your dad brain? How did you make that transition once you found a good brand that you really liked?
I mean, we did just that. We used what we had. But on the flip side of that, there are some things that just don't work for some kids. And some moms will swear by it for their baby. And they'll be like, oh my gosh, if this didn't work for you, you should do this. This worked for mine. It doesn't, all kids are unique and beautiful and different. So there's no saying that it's going to work for your child. So if we found one that worked, but it wasn't necessarily the ingredients that we wanted or that we discovered weren't what we were aiming for, we used the product up and then we just didn't buy it again. We bought what we wanted to transition to.
I love that. And then also, especially with parents with multiples, I only have one kid. You have a child on the way. I think it's interesting when some parents even compare their kids, like what really worked with my first daughter or whatever, my second had, eczema or allergies, so then they have to make a complete switch, which is kind of, difficult to navigate. And so I love how you mentioned that, all kids are different. It's good to take a step back and just look and be like, okay, what works for one kid might not work for the other, or what works for our family just works. So next question really is, what tips can you give, moms of new babies who find themselves in this bubble? So they, constantly on their phone at night after the bub, is asleep. Oh. And then they're like, okay, I know I want to make a switch. I'm overwhelmed by where to even begin. Let's just narrow it down to maybe like 0 to 6 months. So we're looking at diapers, right? Clean diapers. We're looking at clean wipes. We're looking at all of that. So even like, now it's coming back to me because my kid is the same age as yours, 20 months. Even like organic bed sheets. I remember I was looking at that. Like, should I buy organic bed sheets for my kid, who honestly was such a contact napper anyway? So she was barely in our bassinet. But, I remember thinking of that. So from 0 to 6 months, what tips can you help with, new parents to help ease that, little thought in your brain that like, oh my goodness, I need to make a complete switch. Why didn't I think about this, during the 10 months I was pregnant? What are your tips for them?
Oh gosh. That's a tough question because 0 to 6 months, I feel like as soon as you get into a rhythm with something, whether it be a product or if they're napping in their bassinet or contact napping, and then you're trying to transition them to that, just because you're going through that phase, I feel like I'm just going to say this too shall pass. So especially if it's your first, and you're like, oh my God, I didn't have organic sheets on the bed, for this one.
Yeah.
If you're planning to have another, or if, you have a friend that has those sheets, try them first. I feel like that's a really good avenue that not enough people talk about, is sharing things with mom friends that are maybe between having kids or just finished having kids. I did a lot of sharing with my friends and my sister-in-law for products. especially when it came to like wraps and all those things, because certain, every baby is different, like we talked about, and their shapes are different. So a certain carrier might fit your baby better, and it might fit your body better, so that you have that that bond with your child. So don't be afraid to say, hey, can I borrow that? Can I try that? And then if you like it, buy it. I feel like you need, that avenue needs to be explored more and talked about more.
I so agree. And then when you get to 6 months, I felt like, at least for my sake, right? I was like, I got this parenting down. I know her cries. I know when she kind of goes to the bathroom somewhat. And then you're at your 6-month appointment with your kid and you're like, okay, we're ready for solids. Like, and you're like, what? Like, that is such an overwhelming thing. Do I use glass? Do I skip the bottles and go straight to sippy cup now? Like, there's just so much out there. And then don't even get me started about the food, right? It's like, okay, buy the purees, don't buy the purees, get the baby cereal. I'm thinking, I don't know, we didn't feed my daughter baby cereal, but get the baby cereal or whatever it may be. There's so much overwhelm. It's just, there's a lot. So I guess switching gears, asking Chase now, because I feel like dads are way more involved once babies start actually eating solids of some sort. What tips do you have for the dads listening who, maybe they themselves, are nervous about all the ingredients and different products, or maybe their wives are nervous? How did you guys navigate that, I guess, is my real question.
Yeah, absolutely. I, for one, was the same way. Nervous as heck with a first kid at 6 months. And with the food specifically, Kaylee, it was, what size do we need to cut it in? Is it too big?
Yep.
Are they going to choke on it? And do we need to buy this choking device and go to the classes? So I think for any of the dads or husbands out there, it's kind of along the same lines of, just take it day by day. It's constantly going to change. It's constantly an adventure. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to do the right thing for your child, that's all that really matters.
I love that. I definitely do. And I also think another thing that I think I was told by my midwife actually was like, trust your mom gut. Obviously, there's some things you can't do. Like, you cannot give a child honey that's under 1. Like, that is just a big no-no. But you can, have a lot of autonomy over what they, what's on their products or what you feed them. And I think trusting your gut for what works for your family is definitely key. Stefanie, do you have anything else to add for, tips that, once you're in that 6 to 12 month bubble that gets really overwhelming, what would you give for any first time parents?
I would say to the moms out there, because like you said, when the baby starts eating solids, the dad can become a little bit more involved in the feeding. It's a lot harder especially if you have a mom that's strictly breastfeeding, or if, moms get more time off of work. So usually, that's just, they rely more on mom right away. Once they hit that 6-month mark, go do something for yourself. Go get your you time. Tell your husband, your partner, I need this. And don't feel guilty about taking it, because you're a better mom when you're better for yourself.
That is so important. Definitely in the first year too, to like try to give yourselves little pockets of peace, because I feel like when you're at home with your baby 24/7, or even if you go to work, right? You go to work and then you pick them up from daycare, you come home and you're like on mom mode. It's like never ending. So I love that you can even take a step off, put your phone down, get your nails done, take a walk, whatever it may be. I absolutely love that. And I'm excited because this is the perfect segue to our next section, which is all about your guys' products. So we will be asking you guys more questions after the break. Welcome back. We are here talking with Stefanie and Chase, and you guys have a really cool product on the market that I'm excited to chat more about and let our listeners know. So let's chat about your company. What is the product you guys are selling, and how did you come up with this adorable name?
Sure. So the company name is Stork and Sun. Obviously, there's the correlation with stork and babies and children. So that's kind of where that first part came up with. And then Steffi and I have always really enjoyed the sun, the beaches, any place that's kind of warm. We're here in Ohio, so we get the harsh winters. So that's kind of where the company name came up from. And then our product, our first initial release or offering is going to be a 2-in-1 baby wipe for both skin and surfaces. So as Steffi and I, like all other parents, started to do our research initially, even before Ryer, it was, okay, well, what wipes? What ingredients in the wipes? Do we want them all natural? What are the different chemicals in them? And so as we went through that process, we kind of tried to understand, well, why is there a need for both a surface wipe and a skin wipe if you can have ingredients that could potentially do both? And we found ourselves more times than not carrying this diaper bag around that's far too large. I'm sure, like every other parent, that had two complete packs of 60 count wipes for both a surface and for the baby when we went out to eat or high chairs or wherever else. So that's kind of where the thought or the initial process of developing this product was. So we've made it extremely simple and easy to understand. It's 99% water. It's got a few other basic ingredients on there that we lay out as plain as we can on the website. And then the main ingredient is coconut oil, which is a moisturizer, and it also has antibacterial and antimicrobial properties in nature. So that's why we added that ingredient specifically to have the benefit for both skin and surfaces.
I love that. And I'm just sitting here listening to you say that. And I'm like, why is this, like, why has it taken this long to come on the market? Something that is both for baby and for table, because I can vividly, it has to be at least 1,000 times once you start feeding your kids solids. Our listeners will understand. But, my daughter will be sitting at the table or a high chair and you put everything on this cute little plate, right? Like berries and crackers or whatever, avocado. And she just lifts the plate up and throws it on the ground and then throws it, on her high chair. And then, I don't know, I think I pick everything up and 20 minutes later, she's eating it off the ground. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and so,
yeah.
It's just kids do that. It's fun. We're in the trenches, but kids do that. And so having a wipe that is both perfect, that I can wipe her little hands, wipe her little mouth, wipe the ground, you know what I mean? That is just brilliant. It's just so smart rather than me being stressed that she found, her, I don't know, raspberry on the floor after I just Swiffered it up, with chemicals. And I'm like, okay, no, I didn't see that. And now I'm worried, she might be inhaling some bad stuff. Anyway, I love the product. I think that makes so much sense. What led you guys to coming up with this project? Were you like me and just like, okay, there has to be a better way? You know what I mean? But then you guys took the next steps and did it. What led you create this product? Because it's genius.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think I actually had a previous company where we did the same thing, where I think a lot of these companies, whether they're 100, 150 years old, there's not much need to really innovate or make it more convenient for the parents or consumers. So that's kind of where us as entrepreneurs kind of come in and fit that need to where exactly that, Kaylee, is where we saw a need in the market that had been addressed, and we said, let's go for it. Let's create this and then go from there.
I love that. And I'm even thinking it's just so useful to be able to, like, for instance, when your kid gets sick, it happens. It's the winter months too right now. I, would clean her up from a clean diaper, get a new wipe. And then I'm like, should I wipe her face? Should I wipe her snotty nose? You know what I mean? But with your guys' wipe, I feel like it is perfect because you can do that and it's safe. So let's talk a little bit about the clean products in your guys' wipes. You mentioned coconut oil and it has antibacterial, you said. Why did you guys test out a couple different ones? How did you come to those ingredients?
Yeah, so a little bit of background I had in kind of the supplement space before this venture. So I knew a little bit about different ingredients and as far as natural ingredients or chemical based ingredients. So we did a lot of research. Obviously, a lot of the current products that are out there, there's both sides of the spectrum, to your point, Kaylee, where there's ones that are heavily modified, heavily manufactured. Then there's ones that are completely all natural, is as far as the other end of the spectrum as you can go. We wanted something a little bit kind of in between. So that's kind of where we came about with these ingredients. And then we've really tested them for about the last 3 to 6 months on family and friends.
I love that. And so what has the feedback been from, parents in the trenches like myself, who are wiping up bums, wiping up the ground, wiping up snotty noses? What has been the feedback been?
We've had a lot of positive feedback from just the size of the wipe to the texture of the wipe, to the fact that it leaves them moisturized, as their little bums moisturized as well after one of the harder messes that kids can make in their diaper. And they love that it can do anything from their skin to syrup after they're, done eating their pancakes, and Lord knows that goes everywhere because you get to the dip phase and all they want to do is dip and it runs everywhere off the plate, or they're just licking it and it makes it so much easier for it to come off. The other really cool thing that Chase and I had discussed that we've gotten a lot of positive feedback on is that it can all be done with one hand.
I love that.
You can keep a hand free for, if you have to hold their arm while you're wiping their face, or, hold their legs while you're wiping their tush. Whatever it is, you will have a free hand to help whatever you need if you are by yourself.
That is so amazing. And even you mentioning syrup, I remember, I think it was around, I don't know, like 9 or 10 months when like kids really know how to use their whole body and their arms. I like avoided certain foods, which is probably bad to say. But like, I remember I made my daughter like blueberry pancakes. And of course I had like, the organic maple syrup, and she just like chucked it. I'm like, well, nope, no more syrup. I feel like this product is the easy fix for that, because don't worry, you can clean the syrup off of the wall. It's okay. And their mouth,
Yeah, we just actually had that discussion this morning, Kaylee, with mine's, my favorite's peanut butter. So,
oh gosh, yes.
That is our son's favorite too.
Oh, that's so funny. And my daughter's not a big peanut butter eater, which is weird because me and my husband love it. However, I have been in that moment where like they get it everywhere, in between their fingers, all up near their ears, and like I mentioned earlier, kids, once they really know how to use their arms, it's like in their hair, their eyebrows, it's fun. I love that. And so your product works well on peanut butter. That's amazing, because that is one tough food to get out of, especially in little hands.
For sure.
Oh, how good. Well, I guess the last question more about your product, or, this seems like an amazing product. What other products are in the works, and what else are you guys thinking about as far as, this wipes are doing well? Do you have anything else on the market?
yeah, we've got a couple other ideas we're kind of venting. Don't want to disclose too much right now, but at the end of the day, our kind of mission statement is to create products that make parenting both easier and more convenient for the parents out there. So that's kind of any product we come out with in the future is going to have that kind of at its base.
I love that. And I also love just the ease of mind, right? So not only is it easier to use, but then you can, like, as a parent, especially first time mom, you can feel good about the product you're using and know that, okay, you can read everything on the ingredient list, and that it's safe to use and not to worry. I think that is so, so important. And was that a big determining factor for you guys, was just like accessibility and ease for first time parents? That way they're not doom scrolling at night. Like, what does this word mean? And it's just basically a fancy word for like water,
That was definitely me. Chase is a lot more familiar with the ingredients that go into products, and I was not, and am not as familiar. He is my go-to for that. And if I were to Google it or look on EWG or my app that's linked with EWG, there are some things that can really scare you. Google can be a scary place if you let it. So that was a big part of it. When Chase and I discussed it, we wanted to make it so that moms or dads or grandparents, whoever's buying the product, knows exactly what's in it and why it's in it and what it does. And then they can make the decision for themselves if they think that's right for their family.
I love that. Yay. Well, we have more questions coming up, but let's take one more break. Welcome back. We are continuing our discussion with Stefanie and Chase. And so this last little section, I just kind of want to talk about where, our listeners can find you, a little bit more about the wipes. So Chase, we were talking in between the break. Tell me something that's really cool about your wipes that maybe is one of your favorite parts that other wipes on the market don't necessarily have or can do.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the cool features we designed to make it easy for parents, obviously, is it's actually got, and Stephanie talked about it a little bit, it's got a one-handed, I'll call it pop top, to where you can literally use one hand, you push a singular button, and the top will pop open for you kind of automatically. And we actually had that scenario where Stephanie had to go in and use the women's restroom by herself with Ryer because there wasn't a family restroom. And that was one of the biggest complaints or regrets from her, is she had to try to hold this kid down with one hand, and then you're trying to open these wipes up with two hands, and it's this back and forth. So just like with the ingredients in the product itself, we've tried to designed this product from every aspect to make it more convenient and easy for parents.
I feel like there's nothing more frustrating than trying to change your kid's diaper and then like you said, you need two hands, right? And then you like finally get the wipe open and you just pull out a string of wipes, even though it's just a pee-pee diaper and you probably only need two. And then like 20 come out. I love that it can be done one-handed. This just popped in my brain. How is the wipes designed for as far as drying out? I feel like with your guys' ingredients, it might be kind of helpful to not dry out because there's nothing worse than like, opening up the wipes and then the first two are like dry,
Yeah, absolutely. So that's part of in our research and development portion we tested I think 10 or 12 different wipe companies, and that was one of the key sticking points with our development was let's include ingredients that'll keep these the moisture in the wipes. So we've had them to where we've left them out for 2 or 3 days with the top open. We've left them in the car, outside in the elements, everything in between, and we found that they do really maintain their moisture to a high level.
I love that. Yay. Well, you guys have been such a pleasure to chat with. As we wrap up this episode, where can our listeners find you and where can they purchase your product?
Sure. So right now it's available on our website. It's storkandsun.com. So that's StorkAndSun.com, storkandsun.com. And we also have a Facebook page as we expand other social media.
I love that. And I guess, Stefanie, for you, last question is, I just love everything you said right in the first couple of parts, but I really think it's important that, there's like phases in parenting, especially parenting, newborns to toddlerhood. And I think this is such an important phase that can be super stressful for first-time parents. And I love how, you said pockets of peace. Focus on yourself when you can. What other helpful tips, for first-time parents who are kind of in the trenches and are like, wait, I want cleaner products. How should they begin to look and how can it be less stressful? Obviously, purchasing your guys' wipes, but what else can, first-time parents do? That way it eases the stress and they don't feel the need, like everything in my house is bad. Like, no. What advice would you give them?
I would tell them as much as you feel like you're going through it, your partner is going through it with you as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I'm big type A. So I made a Excel spreadsheet, put all the links on there, put the products on there that I was looking at, had a column for like where I could find it, how much it was, and then like my questions about it. And I shared that spreadsheet with Chase. So that way when he was in a mindset to discuss or talk about it, and if maybe I wasn't, he could just look at the spreadsheet and go through it, because communication is really important between you and your spouse. And just because you're on that page of wanting to talk about those products doesn't mean they're there. And you don't want that answer of, it's okay, do whatever you think.
Oh no, it's been a day.
What a new mom wants to hear from her partner. So I thought that would be the best thing for us, was to have that as a tool, that if he wasn't, in the mindset to talk about it with me, or if I wasn't in the mindset to talk about it with him when he got to it, he could just put his comments there or delete it and say, nope, that one's not, he would remember why he didn't want it used. And if you're not quite that type A, the other thing that you can do is just add them to an Amazon list. Everybody has Amazon. It makes it really easy, and they can go through the list and look at it just as easy as you can.
I love that. I'm definitely a type B mom, which I'm finding funny through TikTok. I'll watch a video and I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. And so what I do for the type B moms is I just take screenshots of things on TikTok and Instagram and I send it to my husband. And I'm like, let's look into this product. Let's look into this product. Very unorganized, but it still gets the job done, Right. And so I'm definitely a screenshot person. Like, okay, should we be switching to this type of, baby food or whatever it may be? I love all of your guys' tips today. Well, thank you guys both so much for joining us. This is a great episode. I'm excited to have our listeners listen to it. So yay.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
And that wraps up our show for today. Thanks for listening. If you love newbies as much as we do, please consider checking out the amazing businesses that sponsor our show week after week. And we'd also love for you to tell another new mama about this resource, which of course is absolutely free. And if you want to check out some of the other podcasts we produce, such as Preggy Pals, which, fun fact, Stork and Sun, Stefanie and Chase were on that one. You might want to listen to that one. Anyway, Preggy Pals, Parent Savers, The Boob Group, and Twin Talks, then visit our website at newmommymedia.com. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram for more information, giveaways, and more. Our handle is at New Mommy Media. Thanks for listening to Newbies.
This has been a New Mommy Media production. The information and material contained in this episode are presented for educational purposes only. Statements and opinions expressed in this episode are not necessarily those of New Mommy Media and should not be considered facts. While such information and materials are believed to be accurate, it is not intended to replace or substitute for professional medical advice or care, and should not be used for diagnosing or treating healthcare problem or disease or prescribing any medication. If you have questions or concerns regarding your physical or mental health or the health of your baby, please seek assistance from a qualified healthcare provider.
Hey mamas, don't forget to check out Mighty Moms. It's our online community built for new moms just like you. Not only can you connect with other moms, but you can also join us backstage for special mom-only online events. And you'll also be notified when we're recording so you can join us as a special guest. Visit our website, newmommymedia.com, and click on the Mighty Moms banner. It's free. That's newmommymedia.com. See you there.